This past weekend, I played at a church that was using a full universal audio amp pedal rig. They had a Dream and a Ruby both going into their own Ox Stomp pedals. And if you follow this channel, this is actually the same church I played at a couple weeks ago where I mentioned I had that buzzing issue. There was just this really gnarly buzz when I used my Helix going into actual tube amps into the Ox box. So it was cool to come back and see the new rig they had switched to. I kind of knew this was in the works. They had mentioned it to me the last time I was there, and that might be the thing that initially sparked my interest in these universal audio amp pedals. Plus I just love U2 and the Edge, so I'm still kind of like amazed that he switched over to the universal audio amp pedals for his show at the Sphere, and that's what's really made me kind of like stuck on this. Either way, it was pretty cool that my first time ever playing on a universal audio amp pedal was in this setting. It was also cool that it was live. I think that's the real test, right? How does this sound in context with a band? I was definitely pretty spoiled here because I got to plug into a universal audio amp rig setup that had been really dialed in. For one, if you're already using the universal amp pedals, you know that they're awesome as is. So I think them going that extra level of adding in that cab customization shows you how dedicated they are to getting the sound thereafter. The audio team told me that they had spent a lot of time in the studio comparing the amp pedals with the Stomp rig against the real things. I could tell because I plugged in and it immediately sounded really good. On my end, I just ran my Telecaster straight into my JM80s Wave preset. I bypassed the amps and the cabs and EQ blocks I had set up, but everything else I kept the same. Now right off the bat, the first thing I noticed was my stuff was really drivey hitting the amps, and that had everything to do with the gain structure of how I had set up my rig versus the gain structure of how they had set up their rig. But that's the cool thing about digital, is it's an easy fix. I just lowered the master volume on here until it sounded about how I wanted it to sound. There might be a super technical or nuanced reason why that's not the best way to do it, but I thought it sounded fine. I don't think anyone cared. Anyway, what I did do was leave it a little more distorted than what I have set up with my presets. Stylistically, I tend to lean slightly on the clean side, but I don't know, maybe I was just feeling it this weekend. I just wanted to sound a little more rock and roll, but hitting the amps a little more distorted was a lot of fun, and I think it added really cool texture to the delays and the reverb. So that might be something I look into in the future, maybe increasing the gain structure of what I have going on here to have a little more drive. I think as a guitarist, you know, when you get a little bit of gain or a little extra gain, sometimes it's like a little extra confidence boost. I guess what I'm trying to say is it sounded fantastic, but it honestly always sounds fantastic at this church. So difficult to say if it was really just this rig is so good or if it was the audio team and how they process the signal. I mean, a little bit of both. I don't know. I'm inclined to give flowers to the audio team. Now, in terms of the feel, I wouldn't say it was drastically different than what I have with the Helix or the Quad Cortex. It's definitely amp-like. It definitely sounds amazing, but I think at a certain point, especially in context, all these different amp replacements kind of sound about the same. They do versions of the same thing. It's really just about what flavor you like. Now, would I buy one having this experience? I mean, probably not for me, only because I already have too many amp replacement options. I don't need another one. But if I was starting from scratch and I didn't have all these options, I think this is a pretty excellent place to start, and I would be super tempted to go this route. I think they sound incredible, and I really like that they work like an amp. You have knobs that you can physically change. You're not locked into a capture or pulling up a menu. Like, there's something nice to the simplicity of it. One thing I want to point out that I think is sort of funny about these pedals is just like how big they are. They definitely look cool, but it's almost as if you had a Lego brick, that's the regular pedal, and then you have the Duplo block, and that's what these are. These are definitely the Duplo. If that's what they had to do to make it sound this good, then by all means, they made the right decision. I still think they look cool. They're just kind of like oversized looking. Anyway, that's how my first experience with the Universal Audio amp pedals went. It was about what I expected, and I had high expectations. I like the system, it's modular in a cool way, and if you really wanted to deep dive, it's cool that they have the Ox Stomp, and you could build a pedal board of a bunch of different amps and a bunch of different cabs and really easily plug them in and swap them out. Like, it's a cool system. I like what they put together here for sure. And now that we're at the end of the video, we're probably just down to the OGs, so thank you so much for being here. I know I've been posting a little less frequently lately, and that's been necessary. It's been a super busy year, and I've needed to take a little bit of a step back, and I've realized that there's some other creative pursuits I really want to do, and I just don't have time for them, and the only way I can create time for them is by pulling back a little bit here in the YouTube space. One of those creative projects is, ironically, a different YouTube channel, but I'm going to be starting a secondary YouTube channel on theme parks, which is something I've loved for a really long time. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be yet. It's going to be an exploration, but if that's something you're interested in following or you also like, I'll have a link to it down in the description. But in terms of this channel, it's not going away. I'll still be posting here. I'm just not sure how frequently yet. There'll be some changes, hopefully good ones for all of us, and yeah. Thanks for coming along for the journey. If you're looking for a way to help support this channel in the meantime while I figure it out, there's well over 600 videos here that you can watch. There's presets for the Helix and the Quad Cortex also in the link. But otherwise, stay tuned and I'll see you in the next one. Oh wait, I gotta say, because I say it in every video, I messed up the sign off after how many times? Okay, I'll catch you next time.